Not yet. Oh, propagating. Okay. Aha. Okay. Now it should be streaming. Let's see. Yay! Wahoo! And I'm live. Hello, hello, everybody. Allow embedding. Save. Okay, that should mean that I can now go to my streaming page. And my streaming page, oh, no, because I have to update this first. Okay, cool. So let's go back up here. Copy that. Oh, that's why I had to have, yes, now I remember. Oh, man. Hello. Sorry, give me just, there we go. Need to share this, embed, copy, and open this back up again. Oh, that's why I was supposed to have that page open. Very cool. Oh boy. Did we do it? Did we do it? Did we do it? Did we do it? Yes, we sure did. Hi, everybody. Oh, welcome. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Let me just go ahead and kick off my Facebook live stream and my Twitter live stream. Thank you for joining. Sorry, I'm a couple minutes tardy. I had a couple of technical difficulties and my streaming platforms wouldn't connect, which was very annoying. Anyway, one last thing I want to do is just make sure that, yep, okay, we're live on Facebook. Perfect. Welcome to session 2 of Deep Ministries. Today, I'm going to humbly beg for your forgiveness because I am I'm not well. I'm pretty sure I have flurona. I think I have both flu and COVID, which is not, my favorite day, but there was no way I was going to miss our live stream today since we just started it last week. So if you see me pausing, got it. This meeting is being live streamed. It's also yes. If you see me muting myself to cough or sneeze, or if I start to have like a glossy, glazed look on my face, there is a very important reason for that. And that is just trying to gather myself. Oh, one last thing, just need to go live on Insta. Yay! Hello, hello. Welcome everybody to Deep Ministries session 2. Today we're only streaming to 6 channels because at the very last minute before I was about to go live, the phone that I was using needed updates. I was like, okay, we're not going to do Clubhouse today. And that's the way that it goes. But you'll notice on the streaming page that there's now comments. So on the streaming page, you can comment, you can say hi, you can ask questions, and I'm going to be keeping an eye on those. And that's because I noticed last week that a bunch of people were here and I was acknowledging some of you, but not all of you because Facebook doesn't let me see all of the comments. It only lets me see some of them. So if you would like to comment right on the streaming page, I think you do have to log in either via Facebook or Gmail, or you can even set up a discuss account in order to do so. But at least I'll be able to see all of your comments and questions live, because Facebook only gives me the option to see the last 5 comments. I can't see everybody. I can only see the last 5. How's everybody doing today? How was your week? And more importantly, did you do your homework? And if you don't remember what your homework was to see if you could notice the affluence addiction in and around your everyday life. And if you could, feel free to share with us what you experienced. And if not, then you'll have some more information today. Hey, Savi, welcome. Thanks for joining. You'll have some more information about what it is and how you can notice it after today's live stream. Okay, so first of all, we're just going to go ahead and dive right in, because there's a lot of stuff that I want to cover today, and I want to make sure to get it in a timely fashion. Okay, I can do this. Okay, so there are 3 points to being alive. So many people ask themselves and each other the question, what's the point? Right? Our living is so hard. It involves so much. It's so complex. It's so complicated. We go through so much on a day-to-day basis, on a week-to-week basis. We're dealing with the intensity of emotions and challenges and fear and people doing terrible things to each other and to us, and us making choices that we're not proud of, it, right? There's just so much stuff happening on earth that very many people start to get despondent and depressed and wonder, what is the point? What is the point? Like, how can bad things happen to good people? And how can good things happen to terrible people? Right? And of course, good and terrible people, that's a judgment call, right? So it doesn't necessarily mean that the person that we're labeling as terrible is a terrible person. It just means that they're doing things that are not necessarily to the benefit of others, and they're not kind necessarily. So that's what comes up is, what's the point? What is the actual point of being alive? And there are 3 purposes. And if you have been following me for a while, you may have heard of it in some way, shape, or form. If not, maybe this is your first time hearing it, but there are 3 points to being alive. There's 3 purposes. And point 1, reason 1, is to evolve, is to grow. Our souls are naturally predetermined to desire evolution. It's just deeply embedded, not even just in our DNA, because our DNA only exists on a 3D plane. 3D, remember, stuff you can touch, taste, hear, smell, and see. 5 senses, right? 3D, 3rd dimension. But this programming, this desire, oh goodness, this phone, this desire is going to keep popping up. Yes, thank you, thank you, thank you. I'm going to turn this off so it stops beeping at me. This desire to continue to evolve exists below the cellular level, on a deeper level than just cellular. It exists all the way to the deepest part of you, your soul self. The highest vibrating part of your being desires growth, desires evolution, desires to move forward. Okay. And if you are not growing, then you are Sabi says, it's kind of funny that we were born, but so many are waiting to die. Funny and sad, right? Because Earth is freaking tiring. Ugh, so exhausting. So when you are not evolving, you are decaying. Okay. So unless you're taking steps forward, you are taking steps backward. Now, again, we're going to get into that sometimes taking steps forward feels and looks like being still, being stationary. And that's because the growth and the evolution that's happening is happening in your unconscious mind or on a spiritual level. And so it looks as if, or it feels as if, or it sounds like you are not growing, you're not evolving, but that's very, very different from specifically choosing not to grow, from specifically choosing not to evolve. Okay, so purpose one of being alive is to evolve. Purpose two for being on earth is to experience. Earth is a really magical place. Our matrix on this planet is a really magical thing. These human bodies that have the ability to feel exquisitely, to smell, to taste, are so beautiful, so deep, so gorgeous and yummy. Our ability to be able to use our senses on this planet is really magical. And that's why a lot of souls come to Earth, despite the fact that it is the hardest planet in existence, or, okay, that's being modified, one of the hardest planets in existence. Souls choose to come here. Hey, Sam. Souls choose to come here because of the ability to experience, because of the ability to feel. We have so many nerve endings, and we have taste buds, right? There are very few other places in the cosmos, in the universe, that actually use taste in order to experience our existence. And so the experience of being human is truly magical. Oh, it is so delicious. It's so yummy. So that is purpose two of being alive. And then purpose three, and many of you have felt into this and feel this to be true, but the third purpose for us to be alive is to help others grow. So one, it's to grow and evolve ourselves. Two, it's to experience. And three, it's to help others grow. It's to help others evolve. We're not supposed to be acting as if we live in a void. It's not just us. It's all of us. We're all in this together. Okay, so those are the reasons whenever you wonder, what's the point? That is the point. Those are the 3 points. Those are why we are alive. And it's really, really simple. And although it's super simple, it is absolutely not easy. Living is really fucking hard. Anybody agree? I agree. I agree with myself, if you could believe it. So throughout my time as a coach and working, helping people tap into resource flow. If you don't know what resource flow is, it's essentially the highest version of support. It's probably the best way that I can explain that energy. Now, resource flow support comes in an abundance of different ways, right? It comes as money. It comes as food. It comes as energy, like energy that you physically feel filling you up and allowing you to be active. And then also other kinds of energy, like love energy and grace and compassion and empathy and health, right? Health is supported by a type of resource flow. Um, but the one that we're most obsessed with on this planet is money. So money is the tangible way that resource flow shows up on Earth, right? It's the thing that we can hold, tangible. We can use it. It comes in a solid form, which is paper and coins. It has a digital form, which is numbers on the internet. And then cryptocurrency is a liquid form of resource flow. And then the gaseous form of resource flow is the energy itself. Now we're going to be talking a little bit more about energy during our time together. We've got ages and ages and ages, so we're going to be learning a lot of stuff while we're together. But in the meantime, that's just kind of the basic overview of resource flow. So I have been a divine money manifesting coach over the last few years, very successful at it. But during my time as a divine money manifesting coach, I started to realize a few profoundly simple truths that I would like to share with you. So profoundly simple truth number one, PST. That's what I'm calling them. PSTs, and again, simplicity doesn't always equal out to ease. So just because things are easy does not in any way mean, oh, hey, Candace. Hi, how are you? Thanks for joining. Does not in any way, shape, or form mean that they are easy, but they're definitely simple to understand. And that's really important. So PST, profoundly simple truth, number one, we are all designed to exist as our truest selves. We are here, we've shown up on this planet to exist, to be our soul versions of self within the complexities of the human body that we picked. Okay, so some people picked a particularly challenging either life or human body. And there's lots of things that you have to overcome within that human body. Emotion, fuck, right? Oh my God, dealing with emotions, a huge challenge. Now, it's not to say that across the veil, you know, when we're in our divinely spiritual form, that's not to say that we don't have emotions, but they are just a teensy fraction of what we experience when we're inside of human body. So emotions, just in general, are a factor that we have to overcome. Anyway, I'm digressing. PST number one, we're supposed to exist as ourselves. Now, as we move through, from the moment of our birth, as we move through the world, as we move through life, we have people telling us who we're supposed to be, what we're supposed to do, how we're supposed to do it. We have people telling us the parts of ourselves that are not acceptable. It's not acceptable if you XYZ. We have disapproval from our parents and from society. We have judgment from our parents, our peers, from society, from media, from, from the internet. We have so much judgment from ourselves through comparison, right? And as we move through life, we start accumulating and acquiring all of these different aspects of who we're supposed to be. And it starts to block who we are. And there's a deep psychological explanation of how and why that happens. Session 2 is not the time for us to get into that, but we will be getting into that along the road. So here we are, we show up, right, as adults, or even as teens, if you're watching this and you're still in your teens, we show up and we're wondering, what's wrong with us? Why aren't we that version that we're supposed to be being? And we have this idea in our minds of who we're supposed to be, and we're constantly judging ourselves and we're constantly criticizing ourselves for not being this imaginary version that's been placed onto us, that's been given to us and said, here, this is who you are. This is who you are supposed to be being. Go be this. We were never supposed to be like that, but that's part of our challenge. Part of our challenge is cracking off everything that doesn't belong as part of our original soul identity and allowing our original soul identity to come out and truly shine. Hi, Amber. Good morning, Lindsay. Hi, Marvin. I hope your life went good, Marvin. I'm sorry I missed it. I was prepping for mine. Boo. And also, yay. Okay, so that's PST, profoundly simple truth number 1. Okay, PST. First of all, before we move on, I want to talk about projection. You're going to hear me mention projection a lot, and I want to really fully explain what it means when someone projects onto you and when you project onto somebody else. Because if you don't know what it means, then how are you supposed to notice it, right? I mean, it's kind of simple. Okay. So a projection is when someone sees you as you should be. And it's very strange what the brain does. The brain literally will fool them. It's almost like they go into a trance and there's a computer, not a computer, a projector, like an actual projector, like from the movies. There's an actual projector sitting in the back of their brain that has this image, that has this idea of who you're supposed to be being, and it projects it onto their eyeballs. And so when they look at you and when they see you, they don't see or hear or witness you as yourself. They see or hear or witness you as who they think you should be being. Does that make sense? So they see you, but they see you through this filter that they have created for themselves, by the way. This filter of who you should be being started long before you ever came on the scene. So it's not something that you necessarily handed to them and said, this is who I am. And then they took that and they projected it into their eyeballs so that when they look out through their eyeballs, they see this who you should be rather than who you are. And we do it too, right? We do it all the time. Our society is deeply entrenched in the concept of creating illusions around people and around connection and around relationships, as opposed to witnessing people and witnessing connection and relationships exactly as they are, exactly as they come. Okay. There is a beautiful scene in The Huntsman, The Winter's War, that perfectly encapsulates what projection is like. Okay, so Emily Blunt, who is one of the evil queens, has decided that love is banned in her kingdom. Okay, she fell in love and she lost her love, and now love is banned. Yikes. But there are these two warriors that fall in love and they work for her. Sorry, spoiler alert. I won't tell you what happens after that. It's in the beginning of the movie, so thank goodness. These two warriors fall in love, and she finds out, and so they're separated by this ice wall. Okay, so she's an ice queen, so she puts a wall of ice up between them, and they're standing on either side of the ice, and the guy is looking at the girl through the ice, and he sees her murdered by one of the other guards, and she's like up against the ice, and she right, and the blood, and so he sees her murdered, and she is on the other side of the ice, and at the same time what she is seeing is him sneering at her, turning around and walking away. And neither of those things actually happened in reality. It's just that the evil queen was able to create a projection, a simulation of what was happening so that they each saw different things. And the fascinating thing about this scene is that is exactly what happens in real life when someone projects an idea of you onto you, or when you project onto someone else. You take this vision, you take this imaginary thing that hasn't happened, and it's projected into your eyeballs, and it's projected into your ears, and it's projected into your brain. And so your brain notices only the things that confirm your projection or their projection to be true. And guess what? Anytime when someone is projecting onto you who you're supposed to be, anytime you do something that doesn't align with that projection, majorly triggered. They get angry. They are disappointed. They are like, what's happened to you? Why are you being like this? Why did you say this? Why you tricked me? Oh my gosh, that's one that I get all the time. Unfortunately, you tricked me. Well, I don't get it that much in relationships. Thank God. Only not in like friendships or business. You told me that you were something that you're not. Nope. I distinctly recall every step of the way, whenever you told me I was perfect, trying to correct your perception of me, to explain deeply that I'm not. And if you think that, you will be gravely disappointed every time my humanity shows up. Right? And so that's when people get triggered by us, is because they have a projection of who we're supposed to be being. That's one of the reasons. There are a myriad. And we conflict with that idea. We show up in a totally different way than how we should, quote unquote, be showing up. Oh, I love that. An app, movie projection comprehension. I could call it MAP. I know, I love that. What a great idea. Or maybe, Savi, you should. I got tons of stuff on my plate. I'm going to pop that out into the universe and have someone else pick that up. Oh, I love it. Okay, so that's why it's really important that you understand projection, because we're going to be talking about it a lot. Most of the things that we are triggered by, at least when it comes to other people, are projecting ideas onto them of who we think they should be being, or their projected ideas onto us over who we should be being. Okay, so PST number 2, profoundly simple truth number 2, is that we have a lucrative income waiting for us that is designed to support us being ourselves. What do I mean by that? I mean that it is a universal truth that there is a ton of money that's waiting for you when you start showing up as yourself. And instead of doing, you be. How do I know that to be true? I just freaking know it, okay? I've been testing this theory with clients for about a year now. And the more and more true to themselves they become, the more their income spikes. And it does so effortlessly. When I say effortlessly, I don't mean without doing something, right? They're not sitting on the sofa eating bonbons, being more themselves, and money is coming to them. Although there are a couple of examples that, yes, that is literally what happened. They were sitting there and someone came, hi, here's my money, thanks. So it's not unheard of, but if that's your expectation, you're going to be gravely disappointed, because you do actually have to do some stuff. But the stuff that you have to do is working on yourself and cracking off these own identifiers that you've taken from other people's projections of you. Okay, so profoundly simple truth number 2, there is lucrative income waiting for us to exist as ourselves, being rather than doing. Now, I am a really great example of that. This is me being me. Me doing my work is me being me. I would do this for free. I would. If it comes to a point where I no longer need to make a single penny more, I'll still be doing this. I'll just be doing it for free. And there are lots of programs. That's why I'm switching over to a nonprofit, because I essentially do want to offer my programs for free. We can't do it without taking money in. But I want there to be no barrier to healing and evolution. And sometimes you have to have skin in the game when you want to evolve to the higher levels. But some of the global initiatives like really, really needs to be free. Okay, cool. PST number 3. Each of us has a vital function that we must be / do what feels in alignment with who we be, right? In order to support the evolution of the planet. What do I mean by that? I mean that you have a role, you have a something. Who you are takes up a space in the universe that no one else can fill. Who you are and who you came to be on this planet is something that if you choose to opt out of it, will go unfilled. Is that clear? So since you're here, you signed up for this. You came here with intention. Just because you don't remember making that decision does not invalidate this truth. Okay, so since you came here with intention to do and be a somebody, it doesn't mean a somebody who has billions of followers. It's not like that. No, your role is your role. It might affect one person who changes the world. It might affect a person who affects, a person who affects, a person who changes the world. It doesn't matter. It's inconsequential what the thing is. It doesn't need to go out to millions of people. It will, simply by the ripple effect, okay? But you came here to be a somebody, and if you opt out of that, that space will get unfilled. That job will not get done. Now, I know on a large scale, you probably have some kind of sense that, I love that. B, what about ideas that move to others? Yeah, absolutely. But then at least you birthed that idea and handed it over, right? Some people came here to be poets because of inspiring others, right? Some people came here to be photographers in order to channel divine consciousness through visual images, or came here to be all of the things, right? People came here to be all of the things so that all of the roles have a body in them. Now back to my previous point, you may have the sensation of being 1 out of 7.6 billion. And that's just on planet Earth, right? Like that's not even beyond planet Earth. Let's just keep it, let's just keep it planet local for now. And so when we have this feeling, who am I? I'm just 1 in 7.6 billion. I'm not important. I don't matter. I'm tiny. I'm small. I'm teensy. I'm completely inconsequential, right? We make incorrect assumptions. We jump to incorrect conclusions. It is absolutely untrue that we are inconsequential because we are 1 of 7.6 billion. If you think about it like this, think about the most elaborate, I don't know, like clock. It's some kind of piece of technology or piece of equipment. The most elaborate one with tons of tiny little screws and tiny little wheels and tiny little cogs and these teensy little springs, right? We're going to think about the most intricate version of this piece of machinery, okay? Imagine, just for kicks, there are 7.6 billion other pieces that are involved within the construction of this machinery. Yes, you're just 1 in 7.6 billion, so you are teensy in comparison with the whole. However, if you did not exist, it doesn't work. And it might not stop, right? Because there are people who never step up to their challenge, who never take on the responsibility of the thing or the person that they came here to be. And that's okay. There's no judgment about that either, right? Don't have to judge, because we're all in this, we're all going through our own experiences. That's the point, right? And even if we're not evolving in one lifetime, okay, no judges. We'll come back again. It's hard. It's really hard. Maybe we take an early exit. Maybe we go, we look at these two paths, and one is the higher path of the highest evolution, and the other path is the lowest path of evolution. But this one is comfy, and all our needs are met, and we're contained, and we're suppressed. But it's comfy, and we might choose to take that path sometimes, and that's totally okay also. And it's never too late to switch up to the highest evolving path ever. Till you die, till that moment that you are dead. Your soul is no longer in your body. You have time to switch over into your highest path of evolution. So some people don't take up their mantle. And everything keeps going. The world keeps turning. But it's much less efficient. It was not the original design. It's not the original way that it was supposed to be. It works less well. It just does. So if you choose not to pick up your mantle, the entire thing works less well. That's just something for the back of your head. It's nothing to do anything about today, okay? That's profoundly simple truth number 3. Profoundly simple truth number 4 is that we always 100% of the time maintain free will. 100% of the time we maintain free will. There is never a time where any other being or energy or system can remove our ability to choose. Ever. And some people argue, well, what about law? We have to follow law. Do we? Do we have to? Or do we choose to in order to avoid the painful consequences? Right? It's a choice. We choose to comply. We just went through this, right? Mosques became law. Crazy that it could be, but became law, became mandates, right? Did everybody comply? Nope. Because we maintain 100% of choice at all times. And some people use a very grotesque metaphor. What if someone has a gun to your head? Then you don't get to choose. Nope. You still get to choose. Okay, just because you get to choose doesn't mean that you like either of the options. That's not the point that I'm trying to make. It's not that one of the options is skipping through fields holding hands with bunnies, and the other option is wandering through the dark forest alone, terrified until the end of your days. No, sometimes both of the options are wandering through the dark forest. There's just one that's a little bit better and one that's a little bit worse. Okay, so you never lose your choice. You always have the ability to choose. You always have the ability to make a decision. And that leads us to profoundly simple truth, PST number 5. PST number 5 is that one of our biggest lessons as human beings is to learn that we are sovereign, is to learn our sovereignty. What does sovereignty mean? Sovereign means that you are the king or queen of what happens in your life, this space right here, this body, this energy field, the home, the work, the friends, the relationships, you are sovereign over your piece of real estate, and real estate referring to your humanity in this instance. You are a sovereign being. You are the king. You are the queen. What you say goes. Because of free will and the divine law of sovereignty, if you say no with certainty, everything else in the universe must comply. It must. If you say, no, that's not happening, everything else has to bend. And the reason that it's important for us to own our sovereignty is because we think that we don't have control. We think that we don't have power. We forget who we are. We forget how powerful we are. And we just say yes, and we just comply because we think we are supposed to, because we think we have to. And we simply don't. So that's one of humanity's biggest lessons while we're here, is to learn our sovereignty. And number 6, profoundly simple truth number 6, is that our evolution benefits the whole universe. Our evolution on an individual basis benefits the earth, because what we do internally, the work that we do for ourselves, benefits the world. Now, it does that in a practical sense. When you make yourself better, you are positively affecting everybody around you, right? So that's very practical, very easy to understand, super logical. And it also does it on an energetic basis, because us as a singular being is a microcosm, a smaller part of the whole, energetically. It means that we are essentially the whole by the way that our energetics are made up. It's kind of complicated, definitely woo-woo, super metaphysical, and also astrophysical, one of my favorite sciences. So, and quantum physical, yes, one of my other favorite sciences. So what we do for ourselves energetically, we are literally doing for the world in general. What we heal within ourselves, we are literally healing on a global basis, okay? So our evolution, our individual evolution, and also our evolution as a planet positively impacts the rest of the universe. Do I have time for a quick tutorial about why? Yes. Oh, good. Yay. And if you ever see me look up and ask questions, I am asking my team that is literally sitting up there on a platform, my team, angels, my light beings, ascended masters, they're sitting up there, they're just having some beverages and eating some popcorn and just kind of watching me do my thing, but they're on on call for questions. They're giggling at me. Cool. So quick tutorial on why Earth's evolution benefits the rest of the cosmos and then the rest of the universe. According to Eastern science and philosophy, we have energetic lines running through our bodies, okay? They're called meridians. Planet Earth has them as well. So there's just lines of energy different than the practical lines of energy, which are our neurological system, right? Our brain, our nerves, our spine, etc. It's different, it's separate. It's lines of energy. The place where these energetic lines cross the most happen to carry a higher frequency, a higher vibration. They tend to be hubs, portals. They're like airports in very busy cities, right? Imagine the planes all coming in. Everybody kind of congregates in this one place. It's very similar as far as energetics. And those portals where the most energetic lines cross are our chakras, right? So we've got our crown chakra, our third eye, our throat, our heart, our solar plexus, sacral, and root. And there are also lots of other minor chakras. There are 2 other chakras that people teach. I don't know much about them, so I don't teach them. But there's apparently one up here and then one below our bodies. They're outside of our physical bodies. Okay, so these points are called nexus points. The heart chakra has the ability to move the most energy in the most efficient way of all of the different chakras, and because love has the highest vibration. I'm throwing out a lot of terminology, but we will unpack a lot of this stuff over our time together. Just hang in there. Stick with me. So the heart chakra is the most powerful chakra. Planet Earth has a heart chakra, which is beautiful. And the solar system operates within the same way. There are meridians that run through our solar system. And Earth is the heart chakra of our solar system. And our solar system is very highly placed. I don't want to speak out of turn here. It's very highly placed within the universe's chakra system. What does that mean? That means that whatever happens on Earth has an infinitely outwardly vibrating effect on the rest of the universe. Okay, so whatever happens on Earth positively impacts or negatively impacts the rest of the universe. And that's why we Earthlings, the toddlers of existence. Oh, wonderful. I'm hearing that we're not the youngest species, but we're definitely down there. That's why we get so much interplanetary help from other beings, because it's very important. What happens here on Earth is very, very important. We're going through the Great Awakening, we're going through the huge ascension, and so we've got a lot of support energetically from light beings, from interdimensional beings, etc., etc. So that is a little bit more metaphysically, a little bit more, it's skirting the lines of astrophysics. But that is how profoundly simple truth number 6 is true, is because what happens here on Earth, what happens to us individually, benefits the entire universe. Hopefully that, oh, hi, Anna. Yay, Candace, yes. You choose profoundly simple truth. Your mom's cooking is better than yours. I love it. Oh, you're so cute. So cute. Hi, Elisa. Oh, you're so sweet. Thank you, dear one. What do you mean this event is no longer available? I hope so too. Oh dear, I don't know what's happening. Anyway, hopefully, actually, before we move on, I just want to make sure that we're still streaming to our streaming page. What do you mean? What happened? Oh, good. Okay, we're still streaming. I don't know why. It's broken on on my computer, but not on my phone. Okay, good. Everybody can still hear me. Perfect. The streaming page is where the majority of people are, so that is why I had to take a second to make sure we're still streaming over there. Okay, so next we're moving on to the affluence addiction. I'm just going to give you a little brief overview of what the affluence addiction is, and then we'll start digging into it a little bit more next week. So what is the affluence addiction? The affluence addiction is the perpetual feverish race. And I say race because it has a very stressful time component too, to accumulate money, stuff, and status. The perpetual feverish race to accumulate money, stuff, and status, specifically to the exclusion of living, to the exclusion of being alive, to experience, of being awake, of being present, to experience life, okay? It's the idea that there is a holy grail, the idea that there is a top of the mountain, that there is a place that you can get to where all of your needs will be magically taken care of, that there is an amount of money you can get to, that there is a type of car that will bring you happiness, that there is a amount of investments that you can have in your portfolio that will cure any sense of hopelessness, depression, apathy, that will magically bring you happiness or joy anytime you want, that will magically connect you with people, that will make you popular, that will bring you friendships, that will bring you love. There's this idea that there is a place in life that you can get to through the accumulation specifically of stuff, money, and status. People too, people collect people, right? That all of your problems will be solved, that you will never have to do anything else ever again. That you can literally, for the next 60 years, sit on a beach and drink Mai Tais or go on a yacht and live your best life. And there's a race to get to that top of the mountain. There's a race. There's a 5 a.m. club. There's a 16-hour-a-day working club, right? There is a race to get to the top of that mountain. And the truth is, brace yourself. The top of the mountain doesn't exist. There is no magical place that you can get to where all of your needs will be met. There is no magical amount of money that you will get to that will instantly guarantee you happiness and love and connection and experience and growth and evolution. There is nothing that you can have tangibly, no stuffs that you can have that will ensure your happiness till the end of time. It doesn't exist. But most people don't find out that it doesn't exist until they've wasted their lives trying to get there. And you see it over and over and over and over. And when people do get there to this place, right? Everybody, I don't want to say everybody because not everybody has it, but the majority of people who are ambitious have some kind of number in their minds that when they get to this amount of money or this amount of investments or this price of property, when I live in a $12 million house, that is when I will be happy and content, right? So everybody has some kind of idea of what the end of what the top of the mountain looks like. And they get there. They do frequently, right? Anybody ever set a goal and hit it? Sure, right? Yeah, me too, often. Okay, but they get there and they realize the top of the mountain doesn't exist. And they react in 3 different ways. Way 1, the first way that they react is they give up, essentially. They completely give up. They become despondent, depressed, defeated. Oh, how heartbreaking is it to work so hard for a goal and to get there and feel defeated because of the idea, the illusion that you had that when you got there, it would feel differently, it would look differently. The problems wouldn't exist anymore. They wouldn't be there anymore. So they feel defeated because all that's there is emptiness and depression. They get sick. They die spontaneously. Heart attacks, strokes, severely decreasing health, debilitating, life-threatening diseases that have them declining rapidly. They commit suicide. They fall into drugs and overdose, or they just quit, right? So many sports people. What do you call people who play sports? Sports people, sure, right? So many people talk about that one goal that they have, right? The Super Bowl or the thing. Football is the only sport that I follow, so that's the only one that I know, the big goal, right? and they get to the Super Bowl and then they're depressed. They might win. They win. They get those rings. And then they fall into this deep depression for months or years afterwards because they thought it would be different. Because that was supposed to be the thing. That was supposed to be the thing that cured all the other things. That was supposed to be their reason for living. And when you get there and it doesn't feel the way that it should, there goes your reason for living. Out the door, out the window, your purpose, your identity, everything becomes wrapped up in this holy grail idea of the top of the mountain. And it's crazy, 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 crazy. So that's the first way that people respond when they get to their top of the mountain. The second way is they just move the goal. They just move the mountaintop. They think to themselves, oh, wrong mountaintop. From where I was, I could only see this plateau, but actually from here, now I can see that there's another mountaintop. That's the one. They do not pause to celebrate. They do not pause to collect their $200. They do not rest. They just readjust their goal, boom, and they're off, which is hard because there's no rest. There's no re-energizing. There's no contemplation. There's very little reflection internally, externally, except for what can we do differently? What do we need to do differently in order to get to the next mountaintop? So that's way number 2. And then the third way, hallelujah. The third way, the third thing that happens when people get to the mountaintop is they actually become enlightened. And the heavens opened and the angels sing. They become enlightened. They start seeking the real meaning of life. They start connecting with real truths. Because the thing is that money is only a support system. It's only a support energy. It was never meant to be the goal. What are the goals? Do you remember? What are the goals? What are the goals of life? Remember? To evolve, to experience, and to help others evolve. Those are the goals. Money was never supposed to be the thing. It's not a purpose. Accumulating resources is not a purpose. It's not. Sorry. For those of you who are very happy with accumulating resources as your purpose, unfollow me. You will not agree with anything that I say. So you might as well just stop listening right now. But for those of you who seem to have some kind of inner soul whispering that confirms what I'm saying to be true, stick around. I'm right. I know that I am. And I'm not I'm not arrogant in knowing that I'm right. I just know that I am. It's just a truth. Everybody has different ways to get to the truth. Yay! Sami, you got it. I love it. Yes, Lindsay, always going to the next thing and adjusting was you. Good job for switching out of that. Good. Okay. So there's lots and lots and lots of examples of people who get to the top with disastrous results, right? There's celebrities, so many celebrities who overdose and commit suicide. And we wonder, right? We plebs sit here wondering, they had it all. What the fuck happened? Like, they literally had everything that we want, everything that we think we need. They had more than what we perceive to be our mountaintop, right? What the fuck happened? And we worry. When celebrities commit suicide, we worry. We go into a panic or we get depressed. Because if they still can't be happy, is the thought, right? What's the hope for us? They had everything. And they still couldn't be happy? Well, because they didn't have connection to the truths. That's what they were missing. They were missing the meaning of life. That's why. When you don't have connection to the truth, yeah, you're going to quit. because the belief truly is that there is no purpose to live. When you don't know what the purposes are of being alive, then you believe that there is no purpose. And there absolutely is. There are three, which are, just kidding. We just did that. I hear stories all the time. I read them. Oh, they're so devastating, of owners of businesses who wanted to build their empire, right? And so they spend 50 years working and working 16 hours a day, 7 days a week. They become estranged from their families, from their children, from their spouses. And sometimes they're still married when they get there, but not happily so. Not happily so, because what kind of relationship can function with zero attention, right? And even though they have this desire, right, I'm doing it for my family, I'm building this legacy for my kids so they have something to pass down to the ancestral lines when I'm gone. But what about the parts of your family that you're missing? Anyway, we digress. And they get to this goal and they retire and they have a heart attack and they die. Oh, and every time I read one of these stories, I think, oh, I'm too late. I didn't get to that person in time. Because they missed it. They missed the point. They missed the point of being alive. They spent their entire lives chasing something that doesn't exist and missed the reason that we do exist, or the three reasons. Oh, how devastating. So sad. Such a waste. Oh, so sad. Deeply, deeply sad. Or what about regular people? Regular people who are delaying their life experiences in order to be involved in this affluence addiction. These stories I hear all the time. Every time I tell this story, someone else says, yeah, I have a story like that. These stories of regular everyday people who save and save, who don't live, who put off living because they're going to live when they retire. And they retire and something happens and they never get to live. They never get to actually experience what it was that they put off for 30 years, for 40 years, because they thought that that was the smart way. They thought that that was the responsible way. It has to be a balance. We have to plan as if we will be alive until we're 100, but we also have to live as if we might not make it to tomorrow. We have to strike a balance. We have to be present in the now moments. So present in the now moments, just in case we get hit by a car later on crossing the street. And we have to anticipate that we might not get hit by a car today, right? And we do it too. We do it. We sacrifice. What do we sacrifice in honor of our affluence addiction? Sleep, rest, experiences, relationships, mental health, right? All of these things that we sacrifice. So there's different stages of the affluence addiction that I'm going to go through really quickly. I'm only introducing the affluence addiction because this is kind of the foundation, one of the foundation principles of Deep Ministries is to dissolve this on a global basis. So we're going to be talking about it a lot, but I wanted you to have all of the information right now so that when it comes up again, you'll know what I'm talking about. Okay, cool. So the different stages of affluence addiction. The reason why it's important to go through the stages is because we have this perception that there's only like 1% of the population that has affluence addiction, and that is simply untrue. So stage 1 of the affluence addiction, and I did it in descending order. So 1 is the most affected stage. I don't want to even use a judgy word like the worst, but it's definitely the stage that has you the most entranced, the most hypnotized is stage one. And stage one is the I don't give a fuck stage. So people at this stage are the most far gone. They are the people who have the attitude that it doesn't matter who they affect or what the repercussions of their behavior is. Their chase for affluence comes above all. And there's almost a level of sociopathy associated with people in this stage. It really seems as if they could care less about their fellow humans. They will be able to justify any actions by saying things like, it's not personal, it's business, or this is a business, not a charity. They do not care who they lie to, who they cheat or steal from. And these will be the types of people who will do dastardly things in order to protect their affluence and their status. The most far gone. And then stage two is keeping up with the Joneses. People, you see this very much in California, in Los Angeles in particular. You also see it very much in my town. People care about keeping up with the Joneses here. But definitely in affluent towns, you'll see this one very much. People at this stage care very much about what other people think. They like to win. They like to be the best in their industry, the best house on the block, the most fine cars and furniture. They would rather live in a mountain of debt than look worse than their neighbors. They tend to post beautiful pictures on social media of their perfect lives with all their fine things. They're okay with lying or bending truths for the gain of resources or business. They're totally fine with using tactics to make money. Tactics, manipulation tactics, sales tactics, saying things that aren't true in order to gain the business of people. In many cases, they have an emotional attachment to people. They do. There's not necessarily sociopathy attached to this stage. So they care about people, especially family and friends, but money and their quest for status still comes above all. Okay, 3 is I need to prove myself. So people at this stage often have some kind of rejection trauma where they were physically or emotionally abandoned, rejected, shamed, humiliated at an early age, and they want to prove that person or those people wrong. They will also have a tendency to work themselves to the bone, right? A lot of workaholics in this category, actually in all the 3 categories that we just listed, lots of addiction to working. And they'll say things to themselves like, I'll show them, I'll prove my haters wrong. Things like the best revenge is success, things like that. They do care what people think, but it's more of an internal focus on proving themselves rather than an external focus. People in this category can tend to be Scrooges, but not necessarily, not across the board. Okay, and you can have multiple of these stages, by the way, because some of them cross-populate. And the reason that I'm reading this is because it's part of my book. So I printed it off so that I didn't have to write it. I like making my notes for the class by hand, and I wasn't going to rewrite all of these. 4. Stage 4 is it's for the family. People at this stage will have some care about their actions and how it affects others, but they'll be in a self-sacrificing mode. Their justifications will have more to do with timing. You'll hear them say things like live like no one else, so you can live like no one else, right? There's a time component. Eventually, I will get to live. They have a high tendency to be workaholics too, and will likely be estranged from their family and friends. They will often have the idea that they're building a legacy for their families. Their desires often come from a loving place, but they're just misguided in their actions. People in this category are often money leakers also. Stage 5, Scrooge. People in this stage tend to be hoarders. They can be described as thrifty and careful with their money, even if they have plenty of it. They have a perpetual fear that money will suddenly leave, so they hold on to it as if their lives depended on it. They're good at managing their money, but they tend not to live or enjoy life. They're always on the lookout for someone who is going to try to take it away from them and are extremely suspicious of most people. They tend to have a high level of anxiety around money, even if they have plenty, fearing that eventually all the money will leak away. And there's no judgment, by the way, in any of these stages because most of us fall into at least one of these stages. 6, money leakers. People in this category can be really good at making money in small or large quantities, but not great at holding onto it. There are beliefs on an unconscious level that they don't deserve the stability that having backup resources like savings, retirement, and investments can bring. And so as soon as money comes in, it's already leaving out the back door. Oftentimes there's confusion as to where the money has gone when it was just here, and there's often a lot of shame that accompanies this stage, and they can feel uncomfortable talking about their achievements if there isn't any proof left of them. People in this stage seem to believe that if they just made more money, larger quantities, etc., that there would be enough to set aside in savings or retirement, rarely focusing on the behavior that it takes to acquire extra and consistently build it. For example, if I just made $1 million, that would be enough. Or if they made $1 million and lost it, then I just need to make $3 million and then that would be enough. Okay. I know I can feel a lot of you can relate to that. I know, it's okay. That's why we're here. Yay. Only 2 hours of magic school left. Sophie, that's so exciting. You're doing great. Okay. Number 7, what about us? People at this stage tend to always have a new business idea or job. Money is like the elusive golden snitch from Harry Potter, something that a chosen few have, but not them. And they can gain access to the secret club if they just keep searching for that one right answer, for that one key that unlocks everything, all of the information. They tend to have very grand glamour goals. And we'll talk about those later. And a perpetual hope that one day they'll crack the code and be granted entry into this exclusive club filled with people and private yachts and exclusive golf club memberships. And that those old people probably vacation in Hamptons, right? That's the club, just hanging on to crack the code. And then the final stage of the affluence addiction is there's never enough. People in this category often struggle and suffer the most to meet their monthly bills. They can be living on $2,000 a month or $200,000 a month, but they always seem to have more to pay for than they have money coming in, keeping them in a perpetual state of fear, anxiety, and discontent. They can be heard saying things like, "We can't afford that," and "There's never enough money." So what's the solution? Obviously, the affluence addiction is not creating happiness. Obviously, getting to joy is not going to be in this manner, right? As we read through some of those stages of the affluence addiction, all of them have fear deeply embedded, or anxiety, or anger, rage, right? There's always some kind of heaviness associated with living this way, and that is not the point. Why? What are the points of living? Can you tell I'm a teacher and I want you to remember? So funny. I crack myself up. Okay, so the solution is to dissolve your idea of the mountaintop. We have to dissolve the illusion that there is a magical place to get to. Now, that does mean that the depression of finding out that there is no magical place to get to does set in early. It sets in like now, right? Because as you begin to dissolve the illusion, you're confronted with, well, what then? Well, what Now, I'm just writing a note. Okay, cool. So the next stage after dissolving your idea of the mountaintop is to find your version of what would life be like if money was not an object, if money was not an obstacle, if you didn't have to continuously obsess about money. How would you spend your energy? How would you spend your time? What kinds of things would you be thinking about instead? Okay, so that's the next thing. You have to dissolve your attachment that having stuff, money, and status means something about you, which means that dissolving external validation, dissolving your place in your circle or your society, dissolving your quote unquote dream. It's a glamour goal. It's not real. It doesn't exist. And it means creating a life based in the present moment, because that's all there is. Finding internal validation, internal support, feeling worthwhile not because of what you have and not because of what you do, but because of who you are. And that is such a foreign concept to the majority of human beings that when I ask people to list what they're proud of about who they are, they usually come up with what they do and what they have, what they've accomplished. And they cannot fathom how to find validation internally. Me too, back before I began this journey, right? Whew, this is a tough one. The irony, here's the kicker, guys. The irony is when we can move into an energetic vibration where we live as if money is not an obstacle, it's not an object, we magically magnetize the resources that we need and want to us effortlessly. The more ourselves we are being, the more radiant we are being, actually in everyday life, the more our needs are met by the universe, by planet Earth, by people around us. It's fantastical. It sounds far too good to be true, far too easy, right? Humans, we love to overcomplicate stuff, but it's a truth that I have proven time and time and time again to be accurate, to be truth. Okay, so I just want you to take a moment, as long as you're not driving, then you can close your eyes. If you're driving, please don't. Please do not close your eyes right now. As long as you're not driving, just go ahead and just close your eyes a moment. I just want you to sink into the center of yourself. For me, because I love water, a visual is that is helpful is sinking underwater, kind of leaving the chaos of the outside world above the surface. If you're not a fan of water, you might imagine it kind of sinking deep into clouds or pillows. Or perhaps wandering deeper into a dark cave that feels safe and secure. And I want you to ask yourself, just pose this question to your soul self. What would I do if I didn't need the money? And yes, I recognize that this is such a cliche thought, but the reason that it's cliche is because it's a truth. So if you get underneath the cliche, really, really imagine If you could trust, if you could guarantee that money would come in, not even just money, but $10,000 more than you need would come in every single month without you even having to really think about it or focus on it or work your butt off for it. If you had money coming in, guaranteed each month, you could actually take your focus off of it. Where would your focus be instead? What would you do instead? Who would you be? What would your day look like? Is there anyone that you would choose not to spend time with? Is there anyone that you would choose to spend more time with? And I just want you to send up a request. Once you have that, or at least you have some seeds of it, or a couple of different ideas of what it would look like, sound like, or feel like, I want you to send out a request. This, please. May I have this, please? And I want you to notice that there is a universal, resounding yes. Any delay in receiving that is work that you personally have to do on yourself. And that's okay. The resources are there for you. When you want them, when you're ready for them, they're there. Spending a few more moments in this energy, just enjoying this energy that's a little bit more free-flowing. Good. Coming back to the body, back to the now. 1, nice deep cleansing breath in. 2 is an even more alert number. 3, 4, and 5 is eyes open, wide awake, and alert. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, eyes open, wide awake, and alert. Hi, hello. Welcome back. I'd love to know how you're feeling. What's going on with you? Anything interesting about that you'd like to share? And in the meantime, your homework is, I want you to write that down. I know, this exercise is so played out, but dude, if you don't know what you want to create, if money was no longer your focal point, how will you on earth know when you get there? Now, I want you to focus on how it's going to feel emotionally. How will you feel? How will you know that you've got there based on how you feel? Okay, that's your homework for next time. In 2 more sessions, we will be starting to do the live online healing for volunteers who are present. I just really want to get through a little bit more of the foundational work before we start using some of our time to do some live online healing, which is really fun. You do have to be present to participate in that. In the meantime, have an amazing week. Thank you so much for joining me. It was such a pleasure. I was very happy to be here today, sending you so much love and light. I'm going to take a Theraflu, take some sinus medication, and pass out and sleep for the rest of the day so that I can be well and back up and running by Tuesday when my week starts. In the meantime, the light in me sees and honors the light in you, sending you so much love. Have an amazing week. Bye.